performances, and I hope they keep growing.
Yeah, we were just watching Liverpool try and break down this Genk defence, which is starting to sit a little bit deeper as the second half develops. 7.5 minutes played there. Still Genk 0, Liverpool 1. Somewhat surprising goal elsewhere. Barcelona had been leading away to Slavia Prague through Leo Messi, and we have just seen in the past few moments an equaliser for the hosts, Borrell, with that goal for Slavia on 54 minutes. So it is Slavia 1, Barcelona 1. That game, of course, tonight in Group F. The other game in that group sees Inter leading Borussia Dortmund by 1-0. Let's cast our net further afield to South America, namely because we're in the midst of Copa Libertadores semi-final action. Last night we saw River Plate reach the final for the second year running, getting the better of their Buenos Aires rivals, Boca Juniors. The game delayed by 15 minutes just due to ticker tape, such as the Buenos Aires way. Last night, Tim Vickery was lucky enough to witness the whole kit and caboodle. It seemed like one of those occasions with a capital O, Tim.
Yeah, it certainly was. Yeah, I'm in Buenos Aires, still buzzing from it. Still buzzing from the ticker tape, to be honest. Those of us old enough to remember the 1978 World Cup, it's iconic, isn't it? All that ticker tape being thrown. You wondering sometimes if all those pieces of paper on the field, they might be legal, they might serve as legal writs later on, because there's always strife when these two meet. One of my favourite aspects of the game actually was that 15-minute delay, which must have been very, very hard for the players, because they've, 3 weeks between the two games. The players have got themselves up to an emotional peak right for kickoff, and then they have to hang around for 15 minutes. Well, to be honest, gentlemen, a group of knuckleheads came on to try and blow the ticker tape because some were trying to blow it one way and others were trying to blow it the other way, and they really weren't doing very much good at all for a while. But in the end, we got game on. And to be honest, there is a big difference between the two sides. River are a terrific footballing side. Boca, really all they had was set pieces. They got lucky with one of them. They got a goal at the end that gave us a little bit of a late drama. But we got the right result for the tournament, I think, which is River Plate back in the final. Yeah,
Carlos Tevez got a start, but it seems like it was probably too much for him tonight. He's one of these players we almost lose track of in terms of what age he is, because of the age that he left the Premier League. We kind of figured that he's still got a lot left in the tank. 35 now, and probably seemed like a bit of a stretch for Gustavo Alfaro to have started him last night.
It was a mistake, in my humble opinion, caused a little bit by popular pressure. He is the idol. They needed something special, and so they went with him. But now at the age of 35, Tevez, even at his best, he wasn't blessed with express pace. And he's lost some of that. So now he does do the odd bit of neat combination work, but it's all a long, long way from goal. And the inclusion of Tevez meant that there was no place for another former Premier League player, Mauro Zarate, who is Boca's top goal scorer in the competition this year, and made an impact when he came on for the last few minutes. So to my mind, I think that the gamble with Tevez was a failure, because at no moment in the game did he offer a threat to the goal. And when you've lost the first leg 2-0, you really need players up front who offer a threat.
And you say you would have seen them far more than us. River, by far the better footballing side. What makes them so?
Well, they've got a terrific coach, Marcelo Gallardo, who was a top player in his day, over 40 caps for Argentina. Pep Guardiola just gave him the big build-up. And there's speculation around that Gallardo could be on his way to Barcelona as a replacement for Enrique Valverde. Now, Gallardo has been at River Plate for more than 5 years. Now, that's rare enough these days in European football. In South American football, it is off the scale. When he took over, a very young man, he's still only 43, but when he took over, I thought that the only thing he really knew how to do was the old-fashioned 4-4-2 Argentine diamond. And the man at the head of the diamond right at the start was Manuel Lanzini, who now, of course, is with West Ham. But over the years, Gallardo has got better and better. He's got lots of little schemes, lots of little variations that he can pull out. He obviously reads the game very well. He can change formation between games and during games without confusing his players. And surely, with the experience that he's got, he was a top-class player in European football in France, a top-class player with Argentina, and with his coaching CV, look out for him on your side of the Atlantic before too long.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a leap, though, but as you mentioned, he likes to kind of tinker things around. We were kind of watching that 4-1-3-2, I guess, is what he was playing last night. On the other side of things, I'm curious, Daniele De Rossi didn't play a role last night, didn't come off the bench. How has that experiment for want of a better term, worked. It seemed like they liked their totemic figures with Boca, and he fit that mould pretty much ideally.
Yeah, he's been struggling a little bit for fitness, and at his age, and especially, Tevez went into this game not 100% fit. Their centre forward Abela was not 100% fit. Salvio, they got back from Benfica, the right winger, wasn't 100% fit. So it was a night for hard running and younger limbs than De Rossi. But he signed a 2-year contract, so he will probably have other opportunities. And he must have been frustrated not to have played, but I'm sure he enjoyed the atmosphere.
Yeah. At the other side of the draw, then, it's like as these things are wont to kind of work out. It's definitely an Argentina versus Brazil final. We got Flamengo and Gremio on the other side of things. Flamengo looking to hark back to the days of Zico and co. It would be the first time since '81, is it, that they would have made a Libertadores final?
If you don't know Brazil, you don't know how big Flamengo are. They are massive, and they count their supporters in millions, and they've got their act together now. And first, they got their act together off the pitch financially, and then in the last few months, they've gone European. It was a bold choice of coach Jorge Jesus, former Benfica Sporting Lisbon coach, the Portuguese with the big hair. And he has brought in a revolution. I mean, in all of the time that I've been in Brazil, which is 25 years now, I haven't seen anything like it. What's he doing? Well, he's playing with a very high defensive line. They've got a fella here who maybe Man City slipped up with, looking at Man City's defensive problems this year. A Spanish centre-back called Pablo Mari, who was with City. He was on loan at La Coruña. And Flamengo have bought him across. He's a big centre-back, left-footed centre-back. But despite his size, his height and so on, he is adept at playing a high defensive line. And that's the difference that Jorge Jesus has brought. This high defensive line, it makes him possible to play a fluid front four without a huge gap in the middle of the field, and they are steamrolling opponents. And their performance in the first leg away to Gremio. Now, Gremio, the champions 2 years ago, they're in the semi-finals for the third successive time. Gremio are a possession-based team. In the first half of the first leg of the semi-final, in Gremio Stadium, Gremio had less than 30% of the ball. They just couldn't get out of their own half. They were absolutely swamped by this very exciting Flamengo side. Flamengo could, perhaps should, have buried it in the first leg. They had 3 goals ruled out. The 1-1 draw keeps tonight beautifully alive. And I suspect, in technical terms, we'll get a far, far better game than we had last night between Boca and River.
I've always kind of, this is going back to the days of mid-90s, that 94 World Cup side sparked, I remember, Eurosport showing the Brazilian leagues. I think they were showing live games at that stage, or maybe even relays. So Flamengo was the first team that I kind of gravitated towards. They've always had a canny eye for bringing players back from Europe. The likes of Felipe Luis, the likes of Rafinha fitted in quite well there. Yeah. Diego's there, been there a while. They've a squad stacked with really good footballers. Everton's in there as well. Like it's a really, really good footballing side.
Yeah, because there's perhaps not room for everyone in top-class European football.
Yeah.
So there's a number of players there. I mean, the 2 fullbacks, Rafinha from Bayern Munich, Felipe Luis from Atletico Madrid, now towards the end of their careers, but still with plenty left in them. Dotted through the rest of the team are players who went to Europe and for one reason or another didn't quite come off. Maybe they weren't used to being, they'd come up as a big star in Brazil. They weren't used to being one in a huge squad in Europe. I'm thinking now of the central midfielder, left-footed central midfielder Gerson, who was with Roma and didn't do a lot, but is really hitting the heights at the moment. Up front, Gabriel Barbosa, who did absolutely nothing with Inter Milan and Benfica, but can't stop scoring. Alongside him, Bruno Henrique, who had a spell with Wolfsburg and did nothing, but has come back from Europe. So there's kind of crumbs from Europe's table, but they're forming a very, very interesting side. And I tell you, everyone in Rio is anxiously waiting. They've accepted already. They're going to win tonight. They're going to win the final. They're going to win the semi-final of the Club World Cup. The Club World Cup plays huge over this side of the water. Yeah. Everyone is already projecting Flamengo against Liverpool for the final of the Club World Cup.
As some of our older listeners may remember, a clash of those sides back in the early 80s as well. Your feeling on how that one will go tonight between Flamengo and Gremio?
Well, Flamengo's high line means that there is a risk there. You can play behind them. Now, Gremio have a terrific left winger, Everton, who was linked with Arsenal in the summer. He was the breakout star in Brazil's Copa America win. If he can get behind the defensive line, there are problems there for Flamengo. And Flamengo 17 games unbeaten. They are the strong favourites. But Gremio are a good and experienced side. As I said, this is their third consecutive semi-final. I haven't been so excited about a game in South American club football for a long, long time. Flamengo are the favourites, but Gremio have a chance.
Okay, we'll move on because there was an interesting appointment. South America tends to be full of them from time to time. Jurgen Klinsmann's going to be the new manager of Ecuador.
Yeah, it hasn't been announced formally yet, which means that there's still some negotiation going on. I mean, Ecuador have been in a hurry to do this for a while. So it's dragging out. He's not going to come cheap, Jurgen Klinsmann.
$4.5 million a year is what I heard.
Yeah, which is... and given the fact that he'll probably spend most of his time in California, that opens up a flank there for criticism. But I think in Klinsmann's time, he had a few years in charge of the United States, which wasn't really the success that people had expected. But I think his role in the reboot of Germany has probably been underestimated. Those 2 years, 2004 to 2006, because I think he took some big decisions there, and he was the one who weaned them off the sweeper, got them playing a back four. He sorted out the big questions. Who are we? We're Germany. We want to be aggressive, in your face. That's the style we're going to go for. That's our identity. And he also brought in Joachim Löw, so he knew how to delegate. So there were some impressive things there. It'll be fascinating to see what he can bring to the table with Ecuador, who perhaps have become a little bit victims of their own success. They hadn't made a World Cup, and 2002 was their first. They then made 3 out of the next 4. As a result, their players are sold abroad as never before, which probably means that the altitude of Quito, where they play their home games, is not the advantage that it used to be. So in some ways, victims of their own success, Ecuador. It's a fascinating matchup, Klinsmann and Ecuador have lots of fast wingers, fast, powerful wingers, like to play on the counter-attack. I think the identity is more or less defined. Will be fascinating to see what Klinsmann does with it, if he does sign on the dotted line. Yeah,
the thing about the Germany setup was that, as you mentioned there was quite the structure in around him, the likes of Oliver Bierhoff as the team manager, Joachim Löw working as his assistant. It's whether or not he has the desire, I suppose, to implement a similar system with Ecuador. When you hear that one of the key elements to him taking this job is the fact that he's able to keep his house in California. I mean, that would, if I'm appointing him, that sets alarm bells ringing for me.
Yeah, it certainly does. And already criticisms in the Ecuadorian press that, we're going to be paying someone a fortune to go surfing in California. But, in football, all roads lead to results. So if they win games, he can be based in California, in Gelsenkirchen, wherever he likes, as long as he win games. And I'm sure he'll have a structure around him of people on the ground in Ecuador watching closely. But he does open there a flank to be attacked if he does spend most of his time in the United States.
We have to talk about the biggest name in Buenos Aires, seeing as you're there, Diego Maradona. How is he getting on at Gimnasia? Because we see on occasion, he's become, sadly, the greatest player of my lifetime has become a meme, factory, in that you'll see videos of him dancing, you'll see videos of him engaging with the club mascot, etc., etc. How is the Gimnasia experiment going for Diego?
Well, we're talking about Maradona on Pele's birthday, which and I always think it's such an intriguing contrast between the two of them, what different characters they are. Because, I tend to think that it's to Maradona's credit that he's prepared to put himself on the line. He's prepared to do it. He's prepared to deal with the dressing room and pin up that team sheet and deal with the consequences of defeat. I think it's probably to his credit. Now, he's probably on a hiding to nothing because Gimnasia are deep in relegation difficulty. But he's won a couple of games in truly personal style. He's banned green from the dressing room. He's got a thing against green. He's full of his superstitions. I don't think superstition is going to be enough to get Gimnasia out of relegation problem. But full credit to him for having the courage to walk in, and he could just live off his name. I think it's to his credit that he's prepared to assume the risks of taking on a team, any team, especially a team in such relegation problems. Yeah, listen,
I'm going to get another look at the documentary. I think it's coming out over here on iTunes in the course of the next couple of weeks on the cinema about his time in Naples. It's a fantastic piece of work by Asif Kapadia. But the one thing you want about Diego, you kind of almost have this protective nature about him. He's the biggest and best player of all time, but you still feel, despite his many shortcomings, there's an air of care and protection, I guess, about him.
Are you gonna call him the best player of all time on Pele's birthday? You gonna stick your neck out that far?
Tim, I am. Why not?
Well, he's in the mix. He's in the mix. I mean, I'm just too young for Pelé, and the heights that Maradona hit in the '86 World Cup, I've never seen before or since. And the stuff that he did with Napoli is insane.
Come on, Tim. You're coming on board. You're coming on board. I can feel this. You're warming to the idea.
But if you're going to ask me who's the best player of all time, is it Pelé or Maradona? I'll probably answer Di Stefano.
Politician's answer. Tim Vickery, thanks so much for taking time out to speak to us. Enjoy the game tonight, Flamengo and Gremio. We look forward to seeing who'll play River in that Copa Libertadores final, and hopefully we'll get you on stop with that as well sometime soon. Tim Vickery, thanks so much.
Look forward to it. Cheers.
Cheers, Tim. Damien, we've had a second Liverpool goal in Belgium. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Oxlade-Chamberlain with a fabulous finish with the outside of his right boot, and that really does put it to bed for Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's got what he wanted out of the night, which is a victory. Players picking up minutes, players performing relatively well, and a pretty good performance from Liverpool all round.
Yeah, elsewhere in that group, Napoli now 2-1 up away to Salzburg. It is Dries Mertens who's gotten his second of the night. We'll be back with more after these.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
News Talk Breakfast.
The voting controversy in Leinster House. You had a great phrase at the weekend about some of Fianna Fáil's explanations sound like the dog ate my homework. Just given what's emerged in relation to some ministers and some of the accusations Fianna Fáil are now making, has the dog eaten some of the government's homework as well?
No, what's happened is the dog is trying to bite back, and you have a situation here, Shane, whereby there's kind of skullduggery and sin going on from Fianna Fáil.
News Talk Breakfast with Shane Coleman and Kieran Cuddihy.
In association with AIR.
Back tomorrow from 7 on News Talk.
FAI Cup Finals Day. 4 teams, 2 games, 1 epic day. Sunday, November 3rd at the Aviva. Watch Peamount United take on Wexford Youth in the Soho Hotel's FAI Women's Senior Cup Final. Kick-off at 12:05pm. Then at 3:40, watch Dundalk play Shamrock Rovers in the Extra.ie FAI Men's Senior Cup Final. FAI Cup Finals Day. Aviva Stadium, November 3rd. Tickets on sale now at fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
At Seattle's best coffee, we're not known for our smooth talk, but we are proud of our smooth coffee. Freshly crafted by our master roasters using the finest 100% Arabica beans. Try a cup at our participating Spar, Mace and London stores. Seattle's best coffee. Smooth roasted since 1970.
This Irish success story is brought to you by Guaranteed Irish.
Did you know that Black Knight is the leading Irish-owned web hosting company with 84,000 customers in 130 countries? Based in Carlow, Black Knight employs 48 people, providing domain names, email and web hosting using the latest technology and responsive customer support. Guaranteed Irish welcomes companies that are altogether better choices for our communities. So look out for it. GuaranteedIrish.ie. Altogether better.
Fancy scoring free tickets to an incredible UEFA Champions League experience with Pepsi Max? Then show us your skills. Pepsi Max has 20 pairs up for grabs, and to be in with a chance to win, just pick up a Pepsi Max UEFA Champions League promotional pack in store. To enter, just post a video or pic of your best football trick with your promotional pack and share it on Pepsi Max Facebook or Instagram with hashtag for the love of it. See pepsimax.ie for details. Pepsi Max, maximum taste, no sugar.
Vaccines are your best shot against pneumococcal disease. Pneumococcal disease, or pneumo, is easily spread by coughing or sneezing, and for most it causes mild symptoms. However, some of these infections can make people very sick. Invasive pneumococcal disease is a very serious illness. Of those who develop an invasive infection, 1 in 4 will develop pneumonia, 1 in 4 will develop meningitis, and 1 in 10 will die. The pneumo vaccine is free through the National Immunisation Programme. If you're over 65 or in an identified at-risk group, such as someone with asthma, diabetes or heart disease, talk to your doctor today about pneumo or visit pneumo.ie. Brought to you by MSD, supported by the Asthma Society of Ireland, Diabetes Ireland and CRE.
At Audi, we create exceptional vehicles made for every kind of driver. It's driving technology designed for you. Experience the Audi made for you at the 2020 sales event today.
Have a great evening with itsforwomen.ie. Don't live your life on hold. Get a quote now at itsforwomen.ie and see why we're trusted by over 130,000 women in Ireland.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has just taken a seat on the Liverpool bench, and a well-deserved place it is too. He scored both their goals tonight in a 2-0 lead as it is. I'm sure it's going to turn into a victory in the next 17 minutes for Liverpool away to Genk in Group E of the Champions League. Elsewhere in that group, Napoli 2-1 up away to Salzburg. It is Erling Haaland's gotten Salzburg's goal tonight. Heavily involved as ever is the son of Alfie, but Dries Mertens has scored twice to give Napoli the lead. They will end up top of the group tonight if things stay as they are. In Group F, Barcelona are now 2-1 up away to Slavia Prague. Leo Messi had given them the lead. Boril had equalised for Slavia Prague 5 minutes gone in the second half, but an own goal from Oleg Kina has given Barcelona a 2-1 advantage in the Czech capital. Inter still leading by that goal to nil at home to Borussia Dortmund. In Group G tonight, Lyon have equalised away to Benfica. Memphis Depay getting that goal after Silva had given Benfica the lead. Benfica still seeking first win in Group G earlier. Red Bull Leipzig 2-1 winners at home to Zenit St. Petersburg. Chelsea, that 1-0 victory for them tonight away to Ajax, courtesy of Michy Batshuayi's goal 3 minutes from time. Valencia now 1-0 up away to nil. Denis Cheryshev, the Russian, with the goal for them on 63 minutes. And there is a handful of games as well in the Championship tonight. Plenty of Irish involvement too. Callum O'Dowda started for Bristol City and Josh Cullen for Charlton Athletic at Ashton Gate. 1-1 is the scoreline there. Still scoreless at Pride Park between Derby County and Wigan. Fulham 3-1 up at home to Luton Town. An Alexander Mitrovic hat-trick for the Cottagers in that one. Still scoreless between Huddersfield and Middlesbrough. And Hull City, they are 2-1 up away to Nottingham Forest. You managed to hold your powder fairly well during the end of that conversation between myself and Tim.
It was the only point where I decided I wanted to jump in there, but then I realised that there might not be enough time. Maradona comes in 4th on the list of all-time. 4th? I mean, you two are harping on there about Pelé, Maradona, and then your man chucks Di Stefano in. I mean, listen, Cristiano number 1 for me. Damien. Pelé number 2 for me. And Leo number 3 for me. And Diego coming in a distant 4th.
Distance?
A distant 4th to them 3.
I'm not having that.
Listen, he won a World Cup in '86, a couple of Serie A's, and then lost the plot.
I'd bloody well lose the plot if I was there.
Probably has a good couple of stories, but you know, the consistency that the other 3 have, the longevity they have, their stats, their trophies. If you want to, you know, you were a young boy in '86 and, you know, Mexico '86 holds some special memory for you, great, you know. But that doesn't put him in the all-time.
That's the most patronising greater thing I've ever heard on the show. Yeah, you're great, yeah, fair play.
There's no room for feeling in this debate.
Whatever, it's grand. Let's deal with
We're
that.
cold hard facts tonight.
You're just dealing with stats. You're a cold stats man.
No, facts. You know.
Stats and facts are
I'm telling
different things.
Telling you.
Come here to me. I want to talk to you about this fairly serious study that came out in the past few days. A study that found that footballers are 3.5 times more likely to die from dementia 15 years too late. Chris Sutton has accused the PFAI chief Gordon Taylor of letting players down after a landmark study showing the link between football and dementia. This Glasgow University study found that former footballers are approximately 3.5 times more likely to die from neurodegenerative diseases than the general population. The report, which was released on Monday, was commissioned by the FA and the PFA and assessed the medical records of a wide scope, to be fair, 7,676 men who played professional football in Scotland it should be noted, between 1900 and 1976. So fairly wide scope of people, but also it's a huge span of time as we see Liverpool getting a third, and a really well-worked third goal.
Yeah, brilliant.
This is to Sadio Mane's man to finish it off. Great work from Roberto Firmino. Salah to flick it on past the defender, and a clip over the goalkeeper from Sadio Mane to make it 3. And those points, from a Liverpool perspective...
Liverpool, their free-flowing best there, isn't it? Just breakneck speed, counter-attacking, them 3 linking up. Fabulous goal, actually. Absolutely fabulous team goal.
Is this a worry when you read something like this?
Not especially, really, if I'm being honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. First off, I'm not surprised Gordon Taylor has done what Gordon Taylor does, and that is just turn a blind eye, because, you know, he's the highest paid union leader in the world.
Was, yeah.
£1 million a year or something.
And has been for some time.
Right, and he's basically gets paid that just to look the other way. I think they're quite possibly one of the most useless organisations, the PFA.
Well, I was just going to ask you, what was your relationship to the PFA?
Atrocious. Like, they do nothing. You see them once a year. They come in with that FIFA Pro 11 and the PFA Team of the Year. You usually see them about February or March, and some ex-player comes in and pretends to be all your friend and you wear your union. Nothing then from one end of the year to the next. Absolutely nothing. They don't do anything. If you have a problem as a player, he just wants to make it go away, because the Premier League obviously don't want any bad publicity or anything negative in terms. I've had a couple of problems where they didn't help me one bit.
Can I ask what?
No, we can't ask why. Okay. But, like, you know, to the fact we wouldn't even get a call back from them. I know other players have had similar issues with them. Obviously, he's basically put in charge just to keep a lid on this type of stuff. That's my honest opinion on him.
That's, I guess, pretty troubling to hear, especially like in the wake of the conversation, I guess, that we had last night, when we were talking about young players coming through and not maybe having the systems around them to help them out should their adventure, their dream, or their progress in England come to an end, or hit the skids for whatever reason. To hear that the association and the union that are designated to look after players ain't doing their job.
I think I saw them once in about 5 years outside of this FIFA Pro thing, and it was some guy came in, I think it might even be the next player with a financial advisor, and they were trying to float this idea that, they want to get involved in helping young players with their money. They were like, we think this is a blight on the game, so we're going to put in play this scheme. And I went, brilliant, that's, you want to take money and invest it for them, or become, financial custodians till they turn 35, which is just, sums them up, if I'm being honest with you. With regards to the CTE thing, I'm not particularly worried. I mean, I won't say a lot of it, but,
like, you're a centre-half, you were ahead of the ball.
An awful lot, yeah, and I got hit, shots hit you in the face a lot, and a lot of times you do kind of I won't say wake up, but you kind of come round in the stadium after being hit. Quite hard, and you do, but I don't think the repetitive heavy balls that these guys played with the different pitches.
Yeah, 1900 to 1976 screams one thing, and that is stupidly laces, heavy medicine balls with laces on them and all that kind of thing. But it is said that even, modern balls and modern players heading the ball in a repetitive manner, particularly at speed, particularly with a deal of force, like, that is going to do some damage to your brain.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you voluntarily even seek out to try and see, even to put your mind at ease, that there isn't any issue there, or is it just a case
can they know, by the way, my only knowledge on this is the Will Smith movie, but can they know, kind of preempt this or see this coming down the road, or in younger players my age, or do you have to kind of get to your 50s till they start to see the degeneration, or I don't know the ins and outs of it.
Well, as you get older, the actual manifestations of neurodegenerative diseases, or any kind of impairment on that front, they would become more obvious. But, like, without being a medical practitioner, and I'm actually a family member is kind of going through these kind of things at the minute myself. Like, the scans are pretty accurate, and you can show you, like, basically how your brain is performing and behaving, and whether it's at the optimum that it should be. So, like, I don't know if I don't want to scare the shit out of you.
No, I'm not even at least scared. Grand.
It's something that if I'd been in professional football and I'd been heading the ball as often as I'd done, basically blow to the head every day for 20 years maybe or more. Like, it's something that would bug me.
I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't think about it. I know that's kind of maybe burying your head in the sand attitude, but look, what's done is done now, and I can't fix it. The very fact that, like, Neither has anyone called. No one's ever called me to partake in a study or to give my experiences on it. So I don't know. I'll just kind of bury my head there and just not think about it.
Yeah, it's reducing the load, the heading load on young players. Is Dr. John McLean, the Scottish FA chief, has said about this. Heading and its importance in the game isn't necessarily what it was either 25 years ago, or indeed if you want to point towards this span of time during which the study was done for, was it players between 1900 and 1976. But it is something that I think being on top of is probably better than not.
I agree. I couldn't agree. If somebody phoned me and asked me for my my take on it, or somebody asked me to take part in a study, I would happily do that, and I would happily give my experiences. You know, continuously getting in a hit in the head isn't good at all, obviously. So I don't really know what to say on that. I don't have anything more to say on it, for me.
That is fair enough. We'll bring up today what's going on in the Champions League. As mentioned, 8 minutes to go. Less than that now in Belgium in Group E, and it is Liverpool leading by 3 goals to 0. Sadio Mane's gotten the most recent one of those. Cracker of a game though in Austria at the minute. We're missing out on that one. Lorenzo Insigne has scored a third for Napoli. That's after Erling Haaland had pulled Salzburg level yet again. 3-2 now to Napoli in that particular game. In Group F, Inter leading still by that goal to 0 at home to Borussia Dortmund. Barcelona 2-1 up courtesy of an OG away to Slavia Prague. RB Leipzig 2-1 up at home to Zenit St. Petersburg, and Benfica and Lyon are drawing 1 apiece. Chelsea 1-0 winners away to Ajax in the early kick-off in Group H tonight, and Valencia 1-0 up now away to Lille. 5 games, as we mentioned, in the Championship tonight, and they will have some bearing on what's going on towards the top of the table. But as things stand, not too much of one, because Charlton, who could probe that playoff spot, are currently 1-1 away to Bristol City. We're seeing Fulham through that Alexander Mitrovic hat-trick leading Luton Town by 3 goals to 2. They will end the night inside the top 6. Will Fulham, Huddersfield and Middlesbrough remain scoreless, and Hull City are 2-1 up away to Nottingham Forest. We'll round up everything else going on in the world of football and bring you to a conclusion with these Champions League games after these.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Fly with Cathay Pacific from Dublin Airport to over 70 destinations across Asia and Australia, and move beyond the familiar. State-of-the-art cabins, world-class entertainment and award-winning service, making sure you arrive ready to make the most of whatever lies ahead. Whether it's the stunning coastline of Sydney, the secluded waterfalls of Bali, or the bustling markets of Ho Chi Minh City. Book now at cathaypacific.com. Cathay Pacific. Move beyond.
You lost your ticket. No problem. Can you describe it for me?
It's a suit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's more of a jumpsuit, actually. Black leather. Well, pleather.
Right.
It's got a number of chains and rings attached to the front.
Okay.
And a face mask. With a ball gag type thing.
Don't feel like picking up your dry cleaning? The Laundry app means you can get your dry cleaning picked up and delivered anywhere in Dublin until 10 p.m. every night. Laundry. Drop the Y and add a .ie.
Of all rooms during November. Over 30 years, Nesta has grown to mean more than just secure storage. It's about helping people to make room in their lives. From personal to professional, from precious to practical, there's a story behind every door. Visit nesta.ie now and get 30% off during November. Nesta Storage, proudly celebrating 30 years in business.
Whether your goal is completing your first 5K or an Ironman triathlon, Beacon Hospital's new sports lab can help you reach your potential. Using the most technologically advanced equipment, our experts will design your unique program based on a comprehensive assessment, including VO2 max and isokinetic strength testing. Beacon Hospital. Modern medicine for maximum performance. Visit beaconhospital.ie.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
Just keeps getting better and better and better from a Liverpool perspective. They have just gone 4-0 up. Mo Salah has wriggled his way through the Genk defence, really turned his defender there. Defender should have done better. Let's be quite honest.
That's what we call getting too tight too early.
Carlos Cuesta, the defender in question there.
Salah just feels him and just uses his body weight just to roll him and slot him into the bottom corner. I don't think that guy's any need to go and try and win that ball at that stage of the game. There's a lot of bodies around there, so if he just stays goal side of him, one of the midfield players will come back and get him from the front. So, but it was a good finish nonetheless.
Job done.
That's it. Look, I mean, it's a...
and
job done.
Just as we talk there, they have managed to find the net. Have Genk in the past couple of moments. I think it was Sander Berg who's maybe gotten that goal. We'll confirm the score for you in a moment. But it is 4-1 now to Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp, who was all smiles a moment ago, will be snapping at this one. James Milner's kind of made a mug of it. Is it Milner?
No, it was Lovren.
Lovren. Of course it was. Of course it was.
Lovren got robbed in the right back spot. I don't think he's trying to shield the ball out of play. Didn't see one of the Genk players coming around, nicked it off him, and they kind of just pulled it square. It's a scrappy. Liverpool got a lot of bodies there. They're trying hard. It's a scrappy enough goal, to be honest with you. But I mean, all round, I think Klopp will be going home extremely happy tonight. They don't seem to have picked up any major injuries from what I've seen. Oxlade-Chamberlain was fantastic with 2 goals. He's got 90 minutes in the Champions League under his belt. Keita's got more minutes. Salah's back. It's all around a good night for Liverpool.
Yeah, Ianis Hadji is on for Genk. He is the son of one Georgie Hadji, quite a player in his day. It is Stephen O'Day.
Your nostalgic side coming out.
Oh, stop! It's just thoughts of watching Hadji. I'm going to put Hadji above Cristiano Ronaldo just to piss you off there towards the end of this show as well. Erling Haaland, brilliant stat in from the lads outside the box. Erling Haaland, the first ever player to score as many as 6 goals in his first 3 Champions League appearances. He's 20 goals so far this season in all competitions. It's October.
Yeah.
That man is on fire. He's going to come in for a lot of money. You'd imagine a big club, I don't know where and I don't know who, is going to come in for him at some stage and going to find themselves a little nugget of a striker because he looked really, really impressive from what we've seen so far this season.
It'll be Man United and they'll overpay massively for him. I'll just save you the suspense.
Why not go get Harry Kane? During the course of the night as well, we've had a bunch of questions in along the lines of the hashtag has blown up on twitter.com. Who's the most overrated opposition striker Damien has marked? That's from Gareth in that boy.
Oh God, the most overrated.
One that came in with a big rep and you played him, you're like, hey, all that.
Falcao.
Radamel.
Yeah, when he was at Chelsea and United actually.
He was a shadow of himself when he came to the Premier League.
Right, but it's still Falcao. So.
But that's what I mean. It's I can't fathom how somebody went from being up here with Atletico and all he'd done to just fall. He looked like a different player.
He was a really nice guy as well.
See, that's the problem.
Well, look, he said hello to me when he came on the pitch, and I was going. He came on as a sub, I think, for. I don't know, where did he go first? He goes to United.
Was United first? Then
Chelsea, it was United when he first came on. I saw him coming on as a substitute, and he was kind of walked straight over into my kind of area, and he just said hello to me and asked me how I was, and I thought, that's really strange.
Is he trying to do that?
No, he wasn't.
Thing?
No, he wasn't. Definitely not. He was, because he had a big smile on his face, and he was like, and he played like he was really happy and.
You're making Radamel Falcao, who at one time.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying, but I was expecting more from him.
You're making him sound like he was a competition winner.
He did. He 12 Frosties tokens and he got.
That's what he is. He sent away enough popsicle sticks. He managed to get a chance to play for Manchester United and play against. I didn't play. Oh, this is a great opportunity for me. Just delighted. I'm so excited. Yeah. Radamel Falcao, a competition winner. I think I know the answer to this. Mark and Kilmainham, but don't think I have to guess. What was the best English city Damien lived in? Almost definitely Mansfield.
No. It was definitely London. London for me is the best city in the world, and I was fortunate enough to live in town in the middle of it for a number of years. And
whereabouts in
Pimlico?
Okay.
Yeah, which is so I was able to get the train to from Waterloo East actually to New Beckenham in the mornings. So I'd have a little wander through Waterloo and stuff, and drift down the trains and stuff. So it was a fabulous city.
And you can kind of do what you want there unnoticed.
Oh, listen,
so big and so populous.
Of course, I mean, it's a massive city, and just little things, even getting the tube home after games. I used to get, a lot of us used to get the tube home from, if you were playing Tottenham now or Arsenal or West Ham or whatever, the bus would drop you at the nearest tube station and you'd be home. And there was 6 teams in London, so like you're 18 home games and 6 away games, and you were home on the tube. So it was really nice from that point of view.
You can kind of see why when there's talk of players moving to the Premier League, you kind of see why. Like, it shouldn't be the case, but like the families and the wives kind of get not blamed, but they are an influence in where the player will move, and oftentimes it is to a London club, and you can see why it would be.
But if it's a straight shot and you're everything's the same and you're not too worried about it, if it's Chelsea in their heyday or Man United in their heyday
and Arsenal or whatever,
right, you're kind of going to go, well, I'll go to to live in West London or even Surrey where most of those guys live. So I mean, it is a fantastic city.
Yeah, there we go. There you go, Mark and Kamena. That's your question. Ask Damien how mental the Istanbul game was versus Liverpool. That came in from Aaron.
Yeah, it was good. Actually, that was very good.
That was the one, just the game after the slip, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Was it the game before? One of them.
Yeah, it was the game after. Liverpool still could have.
Yeah, it was good. I just remember being 3-0 down and then just the Liverpool fans shouting, "We want 8," because I think if they got 8, they would have levelled the goal difference.
Yeah.
And in my head I was going, "No, stop singing that, please. We don't want 8. 3's fine." But then just that year was kind of summed up in that just one thing happened, and the fans were so good for us that year. They stayed. They were just so happy to be in the Premier League because it was so kind of unexpected.
Yeah.
And,
you scored in that game, didn't you?
Yeah, the first one, and it's just kind of like that end, the home's end, and there were all those guys out with their drums, and there's a great little corner there. And
that corner,
yeah,
that seems to. I specifically remember that night. It was just the most loud atmosphere.
It was phenomenal. Crowd. It was absolutely. I mean, they had drums and flags, and they all dress in the Stone Island back jackets with the hoods up, and it just sets a real, and it was beautiful night in May, and it was fantastic.
Asked Damien as well about, this came in from, I think it's from Ned, asked Damien about Joe Gamble as a 17-year-old. How good was Joe in comparison to what he saw in England?
I was only on the phone to him today, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he called me. Yeah, I was just chatting away with him because he was down. Me and him, when I was down to Waterford, we used to commute down to Waterford, so we held the world to rights many a night or many a day in the car going down. Joe's a fantastic player. I played centre midfield with him for a year, won the FAI Cup, and technically streets ahead of everyone in Cork as a 17-year-old, as a passer of the ball, technically really, really gifted. And he went off to England. I know Joe, he probably said he had some problems with his knees and whatnot, and he still had a relatively good, career in the UK, considering he was told at 19 that he would never play again or something like that, or he would only need a couple of years football in him. So
seems like the kind of person who took it like as a challenge being told.
Yeah, Joe would be like that. Yeah, he's angry kind of fella. Like, if you told Joe something, he'd definitely,
He'd tell you ups, down, blacks, white.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's fair enough. How's he getting on now? What's he up to?
He's good. He's down at Waterford. They're finishing. He's strength and conditioning coach, stroke football coach, kind of stroke everything really down there. I think the last game is this week. But he's also looking after him on the senior league side in Cork, College Corinthians. So
he's trying to get you involved there, is he?
Well, it's the first thing I said to him when I picked up the phone and said, "Joe, I'm not coming down to play." He said, no, I'm not ringing you for that.
That's fair enough. The final whistle has gone in Belgium. Liverpool 4-1 winners away to Genk tonight. But Napoli will finish the night top of the group. They're 3-2 up despite Erling Haaland's best efforts for Salzburg in Austria at the moment. Inter 2-0 up at home to Borussia Dortmund. That second goal coming from Andrea Kondreva in the past few moments, just in the stroke of full time. Barcelona 2-1 winners away to Slavia Prague. RB Leipzig 2-1 winners at home to Zenit St. Petersburg, and Benfica have picked up, or will pick up, because the final whistle is about to go in Lisbon, their first win in Group G. 2-1 victors at home to Lyon. And Chelsea, as we mentioned earlier, 1-0 winners away to Ajax. Lille and Valencia are tied at a goal apiece deep into injury time, into the 6th minute of added time, and ultimately that draw will be good news for Chelsea because they will finish the night second on goal difference to Ajax, with the sides to meet again at Stamford Bridge in a couple of weeks' time. And that's just about it. Before we go, a reminder that we're heading to Dundalk on the 4th of November. Off the Ball will be live from the venue at the Hotel Imperial in Dundalk ahead of the fourth round of the Champions League group games featuring Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester City. We'll be previewing the games alongside Keith Andrews, Niall Quinn and Damien Delaney. The lads will also be predicting who will be making that trip to Istanbul for the final. It's an exclusive event. The best way to be there is to be there in the night, and tickets are limited. To go to offtheball.com/events now to avoid disappointment. The event is of course over 18s only, and it's all with thanks to Virgin Media Sport. Our sports breakfast show OTBAM is back tomorrow morning on all of our social channels and on OTB Sports Radio at offtheball.com. It's live at 7:30am. Thanks to everybody who put the show together tonight. Thanks to Pete on sound. Thanks to Enda and to Ronan, but not to Dahi Boland, who compared me to Tyson Fury in The Office earlier on this evening. Screw you, DB. Damien, thanks for your efforts all day today as well.
Thank you very much. No
Tom
worries.
Dunn is up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
He'll give you a move for the perfect pass. Give him a ball and he out of space. He'll give you a move with godly grace.